What's up guys, this is Coach Donny with ElevateYourself.org. In this video we'll talk about how to set quick sets, mainly the one, the shoot set, and the back one. And this video was suggested by Julius Lim, so thank you so much for this video suggestion. Before you watch this video, make sure that you watch the setting fundamentals video, because a lot of the setting techniques that I'll be talking about will be based on that information in those videos, and you can click on that video link in the description below. The other video that you should watch before continuing this video is the middle spiking footwork and also how to spike a quick attack. Even though this video is about setting, the more you learn about the hitter's perspective, the better setter you'll become, because you'll understand their timing and spacing a lot better. And you can also find those links in the video description below. The main difference between setting a high ball like a 4 or a 5 and setting a quick set is what you do with your follow through. You're going to start in your same neutral setting position. When you're setting a high ball, you're going to extend all the way through and straighten your elbows and wrists to generate power on the ball, because you have to push the ball wider and higher than a quick set. When you're setting a quick set, you're mainly going to use your wrists because you don't want to push the ball too high, and also this set has to be very accurate, so you want to use your smaller muscles to control the ball, with the exception of the shoot set where you might fall through a little bit more with your elbows. Now we'll talk about how to set the quick set. The first set we'll talk about is the one set. The first thing you need to do is start in your open stance so you can move left or right based on where the pass is going. Once you know where the ball is going, you move your feet to the ball in as few steps as possible. Then you hop and square up at the same time in your neutral position, and you receive the ball over your shoulder. Once you receive the ball in a neutral position, you're going to set the quick set only with your wrist. The angle of your hands when you're setting should be similar to the angle when you're setting a 4. And you want the ball to leave your hands at slightly a 30-degree angle or sometimes a 45-degree angle, depending on the spacing and also how tall your middle is. The common mistakes I see when setters struggle to set their quick sets is that they use too much elbow, and so they end up overshooting the middle. The second mistake I see is that they don't square up before they receive the ball, so they end up turning and trying to set the middle at the same time, or they try to side set, and it's harder for them to gauge the width and the height because they're looking at the side versus looking directly at where they should be setting. The third mistake I see is that setters will set the quick set too vertically and not have any angle on the ball. This happens usually because the middle might be too close to the setter, or the setter is just thinking about setting the ball straight up and down. And when that happens, if the setter ends up setting on top of themselves, the middle ends up having to reach over the setter or completely misses the ball. So it's very important that you set your middle slightly across and in front of him versus just straight up and down. The reason why you want to set the one at a slight angle and not straight up and down like this is because it allows your middle to attack comfortably away from you and gives them space to swing freely without hitting you or the net. It also gives your middles options. If the ball is set vertically, then the ball can only be contacted in a small window before it leaves that window. Whereas if the ball is set slightly across them, then it stays in that window for a longer period of time, and it gives them more options to hit immediately to the right before the set goes across them, or they can wait for the ball to drift slightly across the body, and then they can turn to the left away from the middle. When you're setting a shoot, you're going to receive the ball in a neutral position, and right before the ball touches your hands, you're going to shift your hands down and turn your thumb slightly towards you to get a flatter angle, and then you're going to follow through in front of you this way. If I don't turn my thumbs toward me, or if I don't drop my hands slightly right when I'm setting the ball, you're going to end up shooting at that same 45-degree angle. The angle of your release should be 10 to 15 degrees depending on how high your middle reaches. In general, the set should be pretty flat compared to the one set. Your follow through is very important when you're setting the shoot. Once I bring my hands down as I'm receiving the ball, I'm going to follow through to my target and point to where I want to set. If you have a taller middle or a middle that jumps higher, then you need to freeze it a little bit higher. If you have a shorter middle or a middle that doesn't reach that high, then you need to set a little bit flatter. This also applies when I'm jump setting. You probably need to set a little bit flatter because you're going to be jumping that far off the net. So you might be setting at a height that is close to the height of your middle's reach. Common mistake that people make when they're hitting a shoot, they don't shoot it fast enough, so it ends up being too slow. The middle is supposed to be up in the air or jump right when you set it, so you need to shoot it right into their hitting zone. The way you set a back one is the exact same way to start the shoot or the one. You square up into a neutral position, and right before you're going to receive the ball, you turn your thumbs up in front of the ball to get you a better position to set behind you. The difference between a front one and a back one is that you're setting directly at the middle's hitting shoulder, and this is assuming that the middle is right-handed. If you're setting a back one, you have to set across their body past their left shoulder and all the way to their hitting shoulder, which is their right shoulder. That means that the angle has to be slightly flatter and that you have to put just a little bit more power on it than if you were setting a front one. The common mistake that people make when they're setting a back one is that they end up setting on top of themselves because they think it's a reverse one, where they don't accommodate for the fact that they have to set it a little bit wider so it goes all the way to the middle's hitting shoulder. When you're setting the one, you should be aiming for slightly in front and slightly on top of the middle's head. The reason why is because it allows them to contact away from the block and also allows them to contact the ball at the highest point and change direction. If you set it too far in front, this is called a trap set. You bring it too close to the block and you force them to hit in one direction. You want to give your middles options. If you set too far behind, they can't generate power and they're going to end up going across their body and swinging blindly. Once again, for a one set or a shoot set, you should be aiming for slightly in front and slightly on top of the middle's head. Not too far in front and not too far behind. For the back one, you should be aiming for setting across their body so they can contact it on their right hitting shoulder. So if the setter's to my left and I'm running a back one, it should be looking like this. A good drill to practice setting the one, shoot, and the back one is to find a wall and to set against it with the volleyball. So if this is the wall that I'll be setting against, I'm going to choose a visual target. And it's easier if you mark the wall with some tape so you can have a visual target for you to set at. Then I'm going to stand 1 to 2 feet away from the wall to simulate proper spacing for a setter and a middle when I'm setting a one. And then I'm going to toss the ball to myself, get in my neutral position, and then set toward the target only with my wrist. And my goal is to try to hit that target every single time by pointing my fingers to that target on the wall. To practice the shoot set against the wall, the same principle applies. You mark the wall for a visual target, then you stand about 6 feet away from the wall, which is the appropriate distance between the setter and the middle attacker. Then I toss the ball to myself, receive the ball into my neutral position, and then follow through and point to the target on the wall. Wherever you point and follow through to, that is where the ball is going to go. When I'm setting a back one, I'm also going to stand 1 to 2 feet off the wall. Then I'll toss the ball to myself, stand in a neutral position, and then practice hitting that spot. Even though you can't see where you're setting for the back one, a good way to know whether you're hitting the target is to either record yourself setting against the wall, or when I'm practicing setting the back one, the ball should land right in front of me when I'm setting the back one, because I should hit the ball at a flatter angle, which will cause the ball to bounce back in front from where it came from. Here are some great in-game examples of quick sets. Thanks so much for watching this video. If you found this video helpful, please make sure that you give this video a thumbs up and share it with all of your volleyball friends and teammates. Don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel where I'll be releasing weekly volleyball tutorial videos just like this one every week. If you have any other video suggestions regarding athletic training, volleyball, or fitness, please leave them in the comments below. Otherwise, I'll see you guys in the next video.